CMPRadio.net, the voice of Chester. CMPRadio.net. It's the station.
Good evening, everyone, my beautiful community, my beautiful guests, my beautiful fans. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of WWJD, What Would Josh Do? Welcome to CMPRadio.net. It is the station. How are y'all all doing out there? I hope everyone is blessed and enjoying this evening. As promised, because I like to keep my promises as much as possible, I have my special guest, Kyanna Palmer, in the building. What's up, sis?
What's up?
She's super nervous, but she is here. So WWJD does a word of the week every week. This week is no different, and this week's word is breakthrough. A sudden, dramatic, and important discovery or development. When you hear that word breakthrough, what comes to mind?
When I hear the word breakthrough,
big word, right?
that is a big word. I think about adversities. I think about God. I think about endurance. I think about mental health.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think about a lot when I think about breakthrough. But most importantly, it's God.
Absolutely.
Most importantly.
Definitely for me, God is first. Mm-hmm. And just everything that I've been able to overcome in my life. Seeing like my whole life has been a breakthrough, right? We're constantly breaking through. And I don't think anybody that's out here working or doing what they're supposed to do will ever stop breaking through. Mm-hmm. We're constantly breaking through. And I have to bring it up because we share an unbelievable breakthrough together, being parents that have lost a child. Mm-hmm. That has been my biggest breakthrough. And I'm not even completely broken through yet. I still got a foot back there.
Right.
But for the most part, God has been extremely good to me. And I've been blessed. So that's breakthrough for me.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it. Kyanna Palmer. Who is this beautiful queen?
Oh, that's amazing. Like you said, I am a little nervous.
You good.
Let me
right here.
tell you something.
You right here with Josh from WWE.
I know, but
they know me.
My breakthrough is prayer, man. Like, sometimes, and I always remind myself of Peter. I always say, God, I'm like Peter. I see him, and I see the things that he's doing in my life, but when the waves and certain things come up in life, I get a little shaky. But, I am who I am. I'm a native originally from Chester, born and raised. Shout out to Chester. I have 2 beautiful children, Kyanna and Kylie. God bless me, little girl, and my strong son.
What's up, y'all? Because they watching.
Yeah, they are. Shout out to my dad, my stepmom, and my kids, and whoever else in my family that's watching. Hey, Shauna. Oh, my girlfriend from work.
Hey, Shauna, the girlfriend from work. How you doing?
I just got nervous when I see Shauna.
See, Shauna.
But yeah, so I was born and raised in the city of Chester, to my beautiful mother, Darlene. And where do I start?
Just start from the beginning. Who was Kyanna Palmer as a child?
Who was I as a child? Let me say this honestly. I didn't know who I was as a child. I faced some unfortunate situations growing up that I wish not to share growing up, in my household. So when it came to like love and nurturing, you know what I'm saying? I was looking for that. Yeah. I was looking for that. I think I went through a self-identity crisis for a very long time.
I think that's most of our story, men and women, growing up in the city of Chester. Because we come from that working class family. So mom and dad was at work most of the time.
Absolutely.
We from the generation of babies having babies. So we there, but we partying.
Right.
But our parents mostly was at work 16 hours out the day. It was like, you kick us out in the morning, all right, we see y'all when them street lights come on.
Right.
When dinner ready, that's when we a family for a couple hours, and then after that, it's dad gotta go to bed, mom gotta go to bed, get ready to do it all over again the next day.
My mom was different though.
Tell us about her.
Yeah, like my mom, she was so much of a nurturer. Like I couldn't really do too much. Like I remember, like all the other kids was able to like go past Bethany. I couldn't go past Bethany. Like she was like, oh. And if I did, my stepdad
what was happening past Bethany that you wanted to get to so bad?
All the other girls was going down there. I couldn't wear like certain hairstyles because my mom, like she was like old school. She believed in what she believed in, how her mother raised her.
Looking back now, would you say that type of care saved you from a lot of stuff?
I would not exercise that type of parenting in my house. I will not. And the reason being is, let me share with you why. We was raised coming up where as though our parents would be like, don't say, what goes on in my house stays on in my house. So there are some of the things that I was raised with, like one of those, and then the fact like keeping yourself limited. You put yourself in fear. I tell my son this, listen, I want you to fail.
Yeah.
Cause he be walking on stilts, no, it's some good, valuable things that come out of failing. Like fail, mess up sometimes.
Always tell people that the lesson is in the work.
Yeah.
It's not the lesson is not where God will bring you to.
Right.
The lesson is in the work. I need to know how you got there. I need to know how you overcame, what breakthroughs you had to get through to get there, because they're the same things that I'm gonna be facing. If I don't get that, then I'm just gonna hit the same brick wall that you hit, and we all gonna be scarred up at the end.
But, so you can't tell me to fail when you have me living off this doctrine of what you consider failing to be, or you're not allowing that person to, you have to allow them to make their own mistakes. Cause how you gonna learn? Yeah. You gotta make your own mistakes in life.
Plant the seed, but don't choke the weed.
Yeah.
Don't choke the growth.
Now, let me say this generation that we dealing with is a whole.
Bless their hearts.
That's like a whole new segment. That's like a whole new, but it's different. It's different.
Very different.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say this: my son and the way that he is, he's never been in any legal issues. Oh my God, I'm so proud of him. He works. He's the best. Like, he is overall. He listens to me. He's the best.
So for some of the young moms that's watching, how did you go about building that relationship with your son, who's also a young man, who's also in the same cities and environments and witnessing the same stuff that we all are? What were some of the tactics that you used to build that relationship?
So one of the things was communication. I didn't have that coming up. You know, when we were told, oh, come tell me about it, it was like you was chastised afterwards. You know, so I mean, we have an open relationship in my home. We talk about a lot of things. Even when I was in active addiction, we talked about that. You know, when I was grieving, when I lost my son, and how nights that I didn't come home, how he was left up, you know, and how he felt. You know, like, so it's just open. If I'm dating somebody, we'll have that conversation. You know, like,
that's dope.
Yeah, I mean, some people say, you know, you talk to them about too much, but at the end of the day, what is too much when they're being exposed to it on the outside?
I had a conversation with my daughters a few years ago. I got twin daughters, and shout out to Shamaja and Shamaja. Their birthday is coming up next month. And they'll be 17. And I had a conversation with them a few years ago, and I just told them, like, yo, I'm not the dad that's ever going to judge you.
Right.
I'm your best friend, whether you know it now or whether you realize it later. I'm the one person that you could come to and tell anything to, because I'll never judge you,
right,
no matter what it is. And I use that as an example, like, look, if you smoking weed, I'm not the dad that's going, what the hell are you doing? Da, 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 da. All right, my job as a parent is to give you the best knowledge, the best tools possible. So what I will tell you is, okay, baby girl, but know this. Don't be afraid to be high alone, because you want a career. There'll be adults watching. There'll be people watching you. Don't smoke nothing you didn't see nobody roll up, because people are putting all types of stuff in drugs.
Absolutely.
It's lessons that's attached to that I didn't have, because I know that rebellion state. So, all right, don't smoke weed, I snap on you, then you go back out there, and now I miss giving you those important lessons.
Right.
So now somebody did roll up something that you didn't see, and now you brain dead or you're a vegetable because that lesson was missed. Versus, all right, well, I told my dad and he gave me this advice.
Right.
That same advice might make you say, you know what, I don't even want to smoke.
So let me share this with you. So it's always preventative steps in anything that you do, right? So even at home with my son, before he got into sex education in school, we talked about sex. Not only did we talk about sex, we talked about, you know, the things that come with sex. We talked about pregnancy. We talked about STDs. You know, we talked about condoms. We had a whole conversation, and this is why I'm saying it's good to introduce a child to some of the things that they're going to be faced with in life anyway.
Because
we talk
if you
about
don't
drugs.
tell them,
we talk about drugs.
yeah.
Right? And I share conversations with him about, you know, some of the things that I done when I was in active addiction. I talked to him about, you know, drinking, you know, and not only did I talk to him, you know, when I would make like attend, like when I'm asked to speak, like at recovery houses, when I'm asked to speak like at STD sermons, I bring him along. Like, I need you to come and I need you to sit down and, you know, take in this information, because that's all it's about. Listen, the Bible says we perish from a lack of knowledge. Knowledge means not to know. So if I'm your mom and I'm giving it to you, listen, it's wisdom. And this was make the kids wiser. This was make them wiser.
Absolutely.
So, and that's why I got the son that I have. Like,
that's super dope. So parents, communication, it is key. I always tell, you know, I never bash none of the parents,
right,
because like I said, I'm from that generation. We didn't know.
Right.
Right. We was literally babies having babies.
Yeah, absolutely.
That saying comes from us, our generation. Nobody taught us none of this stuff. I remember coming home after serving 10 and a half years, and it was like, what? I gotta do what? And you know how dad's babysit, or we watch his, all we do is listen. Oh, it's quiet up there. We gotta go check on something. But I had to learn, and I'm still learning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still in the process of it. I'm currently about to put myself into a parenting class, just because I'm still building relationships with my daughters. I'm still learning to be a better dad,
Right.
because the job doesn't stop, right? And nobody taught me this. And I always tell people, the world, no matter what you're going through, the world has never, and if you've seen it, please tag the location where it happened at, who it happened to in the post.
Right.
I never seen the world stop for nobody.
Nobody.
I never seen the president get on the news and say, "Hey, everything's shut down.
For COVID,
Josh is
they did.
going through something, and we need to concentrate on that."
No, life goes on.
It goes on.
Life goes on. And let me share this with you as well too. I was not the woman that people see today. You know, I was not this family going person. I wasn't a mother that attended like school activities. I wasn't a mother that sit and read to their kids.
Kyanna, let's talk about her.
Yeah.
Because we see who's sitting in front of us.
Yeah.
Let's talk about her.
We can. So I want to start back because I think it's important for me to start back to where I lost myself at. After my son was killed, you know, I lost everything. I lost the way to love. I didn't know how to love nobody. My parenting, I didn't know how to parent anymore. Actually, I used to I didn't want to be around my son that I had that was living, because I was in fear. I was in fear. I thought that maybe he was going to die or something was going to happen. So I was trying to block myself, because that pain was it hurt. It was like a very hurtful pain that nobody could understand, you know. And the people that I surrounded myself with at the time, they didn't really know how to help me. They didn't know how to console me, you know. They would come around with, you know, things I was doing prior, you know, smoke weed, because sometimes I would sociably smoke weed and go out like normal people do, have a drink sometimes. But, you know, once I lost my son, it was like it started to be more excessively, to a point, you know, I started snorting cocaine. You know, I didn't go out and look for it. It was like the people that was around me.
Yeah.
You know, and then that was a thing for me. Then I started hiding from that. So now I'm dealing with grief. Not only am I dealing with grief, now I'm hiding from this new disease, this new addiction that I have, that I done took on, you know, and then I'm drinking, and then I'm like, I was just like, I was a mess. I was a whole mess. But again, like, I couldn't identify. Like we was talking earlier, like I couldn't identify. It's like you can't, it's like when you lose a child, it's like everything is black. It's like you go back into a paralyzed, like you be paralyzed. You go back into a state of like a child state. So you got to relearn things all over again.
I tell people all the time, it changed everything about me.
Everything.
Down to the way I walk, the way I breathe.
Everything.
The way I sleep, the way I tell Tom. It changed everything about my being.
I didn't care about life.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I can recall I would get high, I would get drunk, right? And I would go down 291, and I would just drive at a high speed rate. And I would just hope somebody either hit the car or I just hit something. Like, I was angry. I was very, very, very angry.
What was your breakthrough moment? What was that? And I shared this with you before the show. For me, it was watching my woman, watching my queen, like, get through that. I woke up one day and she had called me, and it was so funny. She called me, and literally, like, I was going through. I was in bed for probably like 2-3 days.
Wow.
And it was like, all right. And I can't even remember what we talked about. Mm-hmm. And it probably, and I'm sure we wasn't on the phone long, but it was like she called at the craziest time. And I was just like, all right, it's gonna be all right. And ever since then, I just been working hard every single day to accept the fact that he's not going to be home, right? Because it doesn't go nowhere. People think that, they see the smiles, right? And they're like, they're good, they made it,
yeah.
and they survived. No, I'm still
Let's
surviving.
call them with our troubles.
Yep. I'm still surviving.
Yeah.
I'm still in that process. My son literally is the first thing before my brain can tell my eyes to open up.
Yeah.
He's the first thing on my mind. He's the last thing on my mind before I go to sleep. So it doesn't go nowhere. It's a daily transition
Right.
from where we had to come from to where we are when they see us.
Well, I want to say this. For my breakthrough, I definitely have to say that it was the people that was in place in my life at that moment. And one of them was my father. I'm
Big
talking
shout out
about,
to Dad.
yeah, my dad, man, like, he was there in those dark moments. Like, he was there when I was breaking down. Like, he was there when I was, he just never gave up on me. You know, even when one night I hit a guardrail with my son in the car, my youngest son. And when I looked up, I was on life support. And when I looked up, I seen my dad there. I mean, I seen other people around me too, but his face was more prevalent. Like, I seen him, and I said to him, I said, I messed up this time. And he looks at me and goes, you ain't mess up. You ain't mess up. I'm here. Whatever we got to do. And he was always, so it was like that support. It was like that nurturing. Like, he never left. Like, even when he like, he would look at me. I could see the pain in his eyes. Even when he came to prison and he came and seen me in prison, like, I could see the pain in his eyes. But he just was like, we're going to make it. We're going to get through it. Although I had God, I needed that physical person. I needed that physical being too to be there to support me. And he was there the entire time.
For me, it was definitely my mom. My mom, even to this day, like, we laugh, me and my brothers and stuff, we laugh because I always say she think I'm her man, right? But that's my roadie.
Yeah.
That's my dog, like my mom. But she lost a son. So I lost my older brother.
Oh, wow.
My older brother passed away when he was 23. I'm 35.
Right.
So every year, I'm like, wow, bro, like, you are older than me, and I've surpassed you all these years.
Yeah.
That's what, 13 years, 12 years that I have already surpassed my older brother of living. So my mom had went through that. My dad had went through it as well. So for me, it was like my mom already knew.
Right. What it feels like.
She already knew, and I often, big shout out to my mom, Viola Laws. I love you. I often think about how traumatic it was for her.
Yeah.
To lose her son, then to turn around and lose her grandson, and have to walk her son that's still here through all that grief, all that trauma. And I was watching TikTok the other day, and somebody said something really profound. And I can't remember his name. I saved the video, but he said that marijuana or alcohol isn't the gateway drug. It's the trauma.
Wow, that's heavy.
That's deep, right?
Yeah.
Because that's our first introduction into something we want to escape from.
Right. And you suppress.
Yeah.
Suppress.
So the trauma. So when I thought about that, I thought about the kids that we serve and all that. I was like, wow, all that trauma that they're going through. So by the time they're able to find some marijuana, by the time they're able to find some alcohol, they're already looking for the outlet to get away.
But let me say this too. So when it comes to trauma, we've been experiencing traumatic experiences since we was children. I think that's how we're able to be able to cope and deal with it the way that we do. And
it's great, right? I love especially our black community.
Right.
It's also now it's catching up to us with all these mental health issues that for years have went untapped into because we've been so resilient. We've been so strong, and we become chameleonaires in a sense.
So let me say this. So this is why, and this is probably going to be the most valuable thing with this whole segment, right? I had stigma attached to mental health. When you said when people would say therapy and get help, I'm thinking like, what you saying? I'm crazy? Like, I'm not crazy. And I love my therapist. Like, I'm so thankful that I have a therapist. And here I go in this vulnerable state again. You know what I'm saying? Because people don't express this. Like, I have a therapist. Yes, I have a therapist.
And I'm blessed and I'm happy to have a therapist.
I'm thankful I do, because at this point I need some type of mental balance. I can't take on but so much. Like you said, I'm still living, like I'm still human. People see me smile and they see me out in the community, but I still live with grief. I still live with the fact that, my son is gone. But one of the most important things that I do today is when I share resources, that's something that I talk about. I talk about mental health resources. I talk about parenting resources. I talk about anger management, because these is all the things this is why I'm sitting here today. This is why I hold the position at my job today. Because I began to work on me.
Yeah.
Like everything that I thought that was for, I thought when people took parenting classes, that was because they was involved with DHS.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't know, like, oh no, parenting classes is essential.
I hope y'all listening, like, please, because this, like, you dropping jewels.
Yeah, parenting classes is essential, especially when you get a 16-year-old and they want to have conversations with you and they want to share with you some of the things that you did to them. That's heavy. When your child sit in front of you and say, well, you was out all night and I didn't know if you was going to come home, so I ain't sleep all night, or, or I seen this person leave the house today, right? Because we talking, like, and I was telling, when I talk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like I done been there, like different relationships and just a lot of things that wasn't suitable for a child to see, which is traumatic, it's trauma. So I had got my son in therapy. We had this therapy together.
Wow.
And in those therapy sessions, he would share with me some of the things that hurt him, and I'm like, I didn't know. Like, I didn't know when I went to prison for 90 days that you felt the way you felt. Like, I didn't know.
Yeah.
But it was traumatizing to him.
And sometimes life, man, beats you up so much, and we'll have so much to deal with individually. Absolutely. That I don't care how great of a parent you think you might be.
Yes.
Life will. And it's not even, it doesn't make you selfish. It just makes you unaware of what's happening around you. Because in your right state of mind, like, no, I will give you the world.
But what is your right state of mind? Like you said, we have so many people today that has mental health issues that have not had assessments done, that don't even know that they have these issues. You know what I'm saying? They're dealing with a lot of trauma. It's a lot of heaviness going on. So what is your right decision? What is your right state of mind?
I would definitely say that's individually based.
Okay.
Because my right state of mind, somebody might still look at me and be like, well, he crazy than the movie. Like, they might look at you like, she laughed, oh, she crazy. Yeah. She done went through all that, she crazy. And it's like, oh, she can't be in her right state of mind.
People probably think that I'm a little whoop whoop. Yeah. And guess what? Maybe I am.
Maybe we are.
But the most important part about it is I'm continuously working on myself, my children. I'm functionable. I got God first, and peace of mind, like peace of mind. Like, shout out to God for peace of mind.
It's priceless.
Shout out to God for peace of mind.
Yes, it is priceless, and it starts with self.
Yeah.
You can't find peace of mind, and that's one of the things I had to learn. Peace comes through
prayer.
Yes.
Peace comes through prayer. You have to pray for peace.
And I used to try to, when it first happened, and I was coming around more, and it was like I was trying to find that peace in everybody else.
Oh my God.
I was trying to find that peace in everybody else, and even the work that I was doing in the community, it was like, I'm gonna just push myself into my community. I'm gonna dedicate myself into helping everybody else out. But you can't,
because you're a toxic person putting toxicity into the community. Exactly. So this is why it's good to work on you. I can't go and stand and advocate and speak to the community if I'm not. You got to have some type of healing. You got to have some type of recovery.
I learned that when I took the job. I worked for EDSI, working for Delaware County. On a hindsight, looking back, it was like, yo, that was great. Here I was, a convicted felon. My office was on the first floor of the Chester Police Station. So I remember swiping my car and letting Otis in. And he was looking at me like, I know you. Like, yeah, you know me. You know what I mean? and to a couple days later, having a conversation with him, right? But for me, at that, looking back, it was like, yo, that was amazing. But I couldn't see all of that. Yeah. I was on zombie time. And it wasn't until I had to go to my directors and say, I should have never took this job.
Wow.
My son, like literally my son just passed away. And I took the job and it was like, man, to them, it was like, Josh, you're so good. You're doing such a great job.
So you worked right after?
Literally.
Oh, wow.
So the day my son passed away was actually, I had my first scheduled interview that next day. I was in bed waiting to go to an interview.
Yeah.
Then I got the call. They were gracious enough. They rescheduled it, gave me time, and I literally went to work the Monday after we buried my son.
Wow.
So here I am helping people get with jobs and on welfare and stuff like that, helping them advance their life.
Being functional, still in a state of shock.
Yep.
Yeah,
and that's what it was. Like, and it was times I would go home and I couldn't even remember.
Right.
I would see people the next day and they're like, oh, thank you so much. And I would have to go look at my case note. I guess I did. I guess I did help them. Where I wouldn't remember nothing about my workday. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about from the time I'm going in and coming out, I couldn't remember nothing about my workday because most of it was just a blank.
Yeah.
And I remember going to my directors, and for me, that was the time that I was like, all right, Josh, you gotta go to therapy. You gotta get yourself together because this isn't gonna help the people that you wanna help, nor is it gonna help you most importantly.
I wanna say this when you say about therapy. So if it had not been for me being arrested and attending those, I didn't even know it was a recovery house. I didn't know you can get clean. Like, my stepdad was an active addict, for years, as we grew up, so I seen him. It wasn't like I was new to somebody that was battling with a substance use disorder. It's just that I didn't know that it was help. I mean, I remember my mom say he in the mountains, or what they tell the kids when they go in jail.
He in school.
He in school. It's like, damn, he must be really smart. Like, he always
that's
away.
A long college. He must be getting that doctor's degree.
So I didn't never know. Again, lack of information, lack of knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Not knowing, like, maybe if she'd have had that conversation, with us, like, oh, but coming up where they was, she only did what her mom did to her.
Absolutely.
And I broke that cycle.
And don't say nothing. Yeah. And whatever happened in this house stays in this house. Don't say nothing. Don't tell nobody what you going through.
I carried that everywhere I went. Like, I'm not. And then when you in active addiction, you're already high and you isolated. It's like the drug got you thinking like everybody against you. Like, they over there looking at you. Like, look at them. Like, you be like, yo, like, it just puts you in a whole state of mind. Like, drugs is not it. Like, it's really not. If you're going through something and you're dealing with grief or anything just traumatic, like picking up a drug and using the drug to suppress it, in order for you to heal, like really properly heal, man. Like, I would say, even if you don't get the resources of mental health resources or whatever, stop using drugs. Like, drugs and grief, the two do not coincide together. It's like a disaster. And you delaying your process. You delaying your grieving process.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about where you work at.
So I work for the Department of Behavioral Health and Intellectual Services. It's an initiative under the mayor of Philadelphia. I love what I do.
It shows.
So I'm on this unit called the Community Wellness Engagement Unit. Mm-hmm. And what we do is we go out to the community and we educate the community on resources, known and unknown, that some of the, Philadelphians are eligible for. And I share my lived experience. Like, sometimes we go into vulnerable communities, we face with a lot of different challenges, so it's nothing like that peer support for somebody hearing you say, like, I was where you were. Yeah. And to hear certain stories like, all right, well, maybe it is hope, and that's what we do. We connect.
I do it all the time
resources.
In the schools. Like, some people like, you just gonna tell them kids your story? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because they need to identify me with what they've been seeing their whole life.
Well, a lot of our kids is going through identity crisis anyway.
Yeah.
Like they mimic everything they see on TV. Like,
yeah, but it's easier. You know, most of the kids, they be like, oh, Mr. Josh, he like the teacher, he like the principal. He don't know nothing. He ain't been through nothing.
Right.
And then I tell them about my son, and I tell them about, you know, my life, and they're like, oh, all right, Mr. Josh.
Yeah.
We feel you.
I think, you know what? I think, Josh, anybody that hears the story of us losing a child and being able to see the positions that we hold today, I think that that's like hope within itself.
Absolutely.
You know, it's hope within itself. And that's why, you know, when I come on certain segments and I share, you know, information, it's not to boast, you know, it's just to show a mother that's sitting there that's watching behind the scenes, like, you can get through it. You can get through being homeless. You can get through active addiction. You know, you can get through being in prison. Those things doesn't define who you are.
It used to be times I used to be like, God, you crazy. Like, you wild. Like, I gotta go through all this.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until about a year ago, I was working with Making a Change Group, and I was teaching in after-school programs. And I was like, all right, I get it. I get it.
I
get
still
that
don't
I had
get it,
to,
Josh. I can't
well,
tell
this is
you
what
that.
it was. I look at the story of Job, right? And then I look at our stories.
Yeah.
Just hearing what you said about going into those vulnerable communities
Right.
and being able to speak the way only you can speak. Right. And I'm sure it's probably only one or two of you in that group. Because most of the time when I go to places, it's really just me that has that story, that testimony, right? That allows someone to listen. And that's what it was for. I realized that we had to go through all this stuff so we could save, because he protected us. We still here.
I know.
We are still here. And the odds were against us. Even we were against us.
Man,
we
listen.
didn't even want to be here.
Listen to me, Josh. I'm telling you, I sit here, I see people in my family turn. I seen people that was close to me turn. I seen a lot. Like, I seen a lot, you know, and at the time I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, why? Why is this happening? Why is that happening? Why is this being done? You know, but that had to, so I believe that those things happened to me, and I went through that moment of my life for me to change the way that I used to be, right? Because now it's like, you can do something to me and I'll forgive you, I'll pray for you, I'll speak to you the next day. I'm not holding it anymore, right? Now, that may not mean that I might not speak about it to somebody. Maybe I talk to my therapist, because I feel I still got to be able to get it off me, but I'm not holding a grudge today. Like, I'm not holding a grudge. Like, before you do something to me, I want to fight, and no, like.
And you understand time differently. I always say that one thing, the greatest lesson that my son taught me and gave me was that we set these alarms in the morning, we plan these dates, we plan these events, and it makes us arrogant, right? We start to believe that we can control time. When I realized that I don't control that shit, excuse my language, but it's real. When I realized that I do not control time, and that I did not have time, it changed everything.
Well, you know what, for me, right, and whenever I speak, I always try to tell people, like, spend time with your kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, and people always said to me, like, you always with your children. Yeah, I'm always with them, because this is me creating moments. You know what I'm saying? Moments that I can't get back. And I ran off, when I was out there, I ran off a lot of guilt. A lot of people don't know this because I haven't shared this before, but that day that my son was murdered, he wanted to go with me that day, right? Not only did he want to go with me that day, he sat in the back car. He was so adamant about going with me, right? And I had gotten a little altercation that day with a young lady from up the project where I was living at. So me running off of pride, I'm like, no, I'm going out tonight. I'm gonna watch what. Angry, but like I said, not knowing this was going to happen. But I said to him, I said, no. I was running out to the mall, and I said, no. I said, just wait here until I come back. I said, plus you done got your clothes all dirty. You know, I ain't want you to get him his clothes dirty. I gave him food out. This when Abe was up there at the truck, up the Bennett. And I said to him, I said, I see you when I get back. And I went to go drive off. And then he was like, Mom, And he ran up to me, man, and he kissed me and said, I love you. And I said, I love you too. And I got up to this fairground, the cemetery up the fairground. And I got a phone call. And he like, your son just got hit. I'm like, what? I didn't say my son. And then numerous phone calls kept coming through. But instantly, I knew right there, like when they said he got hit, I knew that he was dead. I knew, like, it was like a feeling that came over me. I'm like, he gone. And yeah, so, you know, I learned when you talk about Tom, I get Tom. I understand Tom, you know, and I spend as much time as I can with my children. Everything I try to do, matter of fact, is centered around them. And people are like, do you want a break? I get breaks. I'm at work. You know, I love my downtime with my kids, man. Like,
wow.
I do.
That's heavy. That's deep. And just hear that it's a blessing that God allowed y'all to share that love.
Yeah, that was my best friend. We used to dress alike. That was my best friend. Like Sharon was like, he just kept me going. It was my first child, you know. Yeah. I was like madly in love with his dad. So I was so happy to have him, like, you know. But that was my best friend, you know. Yeah, that's.
What are some of the things, you know, again, for any of the moms or dads that's out there listening, what are some of the things that you did to cope during the first initial part of that process? Because we're forever processing. So I want to say that first initial part of that process, what were some of the things well, I don't even want to take it back there, right? Because, of course, we had the drug addiction.
You know what? We can, because it's probably somebody out there that's going through.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't, like I said to you, like I don't mind going in.
So outside, what would you have, let me ask you this then. What would you have done differently besides turning to drugs and doing, and leading down that path? What were some of the, because hindsight is 20/20, so looking back, what are some of the things that you see that, you know what, I could have did this different, or I would instruct somebody to do it this way? All
right, so I love to get asked these questions. I got asked this question, I think last week when I did this I did another podcast, but when it comes to going back, I don't go back. I can't go back. And that's where we get stuck at in grief. Like, because we be living off the, I wish I should have, maybe I could have. Everything that I done while I was out there in active addiction, while I was grieving, everything I've been through, it was for a purpose. It was for a purpose, like, to change me and make me who I am today. Like, I love who I am today.
That's dope.
I love who I am. I'm telling you, even the people I work with, like, I'm always so happy. Like, I come to work, I just be like, I'm always like a happy person. Like, I do have down days. Don't get me wrong. I have down days. But shout out to my dad. I'm telling you, because when I go through certain stuff and it gets like too bearable, I go to him. But he instilled in me, like, I used to go out to the cemetery. Matter of fact, I got 18 staples up my leg. One night I was high. I jumped the cemetery gate. Me and another mother that was grieving over her child. When we went there one day, we was on cloud. And I thought I seen a deer. So before I could warn her, I went to go jump back on the tree and go on to the gate of the cemetery near Crozier. And my leg slipped, boom, and I was dangling. Yeah. And the doctor said I was close to hitting the main artery. Wow. And I would have died.
True story. Only person that knows this is my queen. And
shout out to your queen too. She's amazing.
D Camp.
Yes, D.
Hurry up back, because she's been in Vegas and I'm tired of it. But I used to sleep out there.
Wow.
Like, for days. Like, I would go to work, shower, have my clothes ready for the next day, and go back out there, and I would sleep at his site for days. Like, I literally just stopped that probably 2 months before I started my show.
Wow. So
when you say, I get it. Well, we get so much, right? Because it's...
But everybody grieves differently
Yeah.
too. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody grieves. But you know what my father taught me? My father said, why do you go back to something that hurts you? Right? And when I share this, or when I'm speaking to women, or when I'm out at an engagement or whatever, and I'm saying this, like, they're not there yet, which is okay. But this is how I'm able to cope. When people say, what do you do? How do you get this smile back? I don't go back to the things that hurt me. Like, that hurts me. Like, to talk about, or not even to talk about, because I love to talk about him, because that's what helps me. That's what helps me keep going. But to go back to the cemetery and sit at a place and and had this imagination that I can't do that to myself.
So what I did was now I go out there about 3 times out the week, and I call this the time where I'm cutting his hair.
Can I tell you my last time I went?
Yes.
Can I really be?
Yes.
Like, Sharon been going since what, 2007. I haven't been out there in like 7 years.
But that's how Dee is. That's how she is. She she does it. So I go out there because for me, it's like, I like to trim up his headstone.
Right.
And I like, yep, I'm cutting your hair today. And I trim up around it. We go to it's so funny because we both do the same thing. He was a beach bum. So during the summer months, her SUV and my SUV are both, we could take either one to the beach. They got everything you need in there because we live down there. But so now I go about there 2 to 3 times out the week, and I just sit for a little bit, and then I roll out. I don't get caught up because I used to. People call me, I cut my phone off, and even when I was with my ex, it was times that she was thinking that I was out cheating. She's like, "Oh, you out cheating?" I was like, "Nah." I didn't even care to explain.
Right.
But literally, I'll be there for days. So I'm grateful. Like you said, God is good. Prayer really works. He is really listening. And I think a lot of times when we talk about therapy, at least for me, when I talk about therapy and stuff like that, we forget about that free will.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's not, we could pray all day long, but what are you doing to work towards that blessing that you asking God to give you? Yep. So that's the work that I'm constantly putting in. You know, I'm praying for that peace. I'm praying for that joy, and things have been happening. D, for instance, you know, us being in the space that we in now.
Yeah.
It's
You lucky.
freaking amazing.
You lucky. She's amazing though. I'm telling you, like, and even with her strength and the things that, you know, I watch Dee a lot. I see that she travels, you know, she's just a very strong person. And that's what we need. Sometimes when we going through, like, when in this grieving process, because it'll never be over. Like,
And she has this smile. Like,
and
for
she
me,
has a bright smile.
yeah, she smiles just like him. They share the same exact smile. Like, she knows this. Like, when it first happened, it was times that I would just go around her just so I could try to make her laugh, just so I could capture that smile. Like, that's why. So I love it. I love the space that I'm in. And just working towards being a better man, right? Yeah. Being a better husband, being a better father. And it's important to have somebody that's pushing you towards that stuff.
Y'all growing and healing
it's
together.
important to have somebody that's constantly pushing you, because I'm a handful. I know for a fact I'm a handful. I'm light-skinned. I'm a Capricorn. I'm from Chester. I've been driving since I've been 12 years old. I know I'm a lot to handle. Yeah. I've been through some things. I used to be crazy back in the day.
I'm on these though. Yeah. I'm really not. Now, I'm really not. I don't know. I like right now. I think that God. I mean,
well, He using you.
He is. And
He's always been using us, right?
Yeah.
For me, it feels good.
But I was being used without my will.
Yes.
So that's the difference.
Yes. Now it's like, take me, God. I'll do whatever you want.
Listen, I get up in the morning. I'm like, however you want this day to go.
Yep. Just
however you want this day to go.
Because people ask me all the time, like, yo, how you doing? I tell them straight up, I don't know. Like, I don't know. All I know, it was God. Yeah. Because if it was up to me, I'd have crashed out a long time ago.
A long time ago.
Long time ago.
I'd have been gave up.
Wanted to.
Yeah.
Not even wanted to. Did try, and God still was like, nope, you anointed.
Yep.
You just got to get through
even
this.
When I didn't know I was.
Those times on the highway.
Yeah. I remember, listen.
That was God shielding you.
I remember like being like so coked out of my mind. And like I would go to church, like, cause I couldn't sleep. Like I'd just be up, like, you know what I'm saying? And I'd go to church and I'd be going and people be looking at me. I know I'm just like I just knew that through this process, I just knew that I needed him. Like I just knew that I needed something. And like I said, like with God, my children, and my, I'm telling you, I get emotional when I talk about my support system, because my father and my son, my daughter, she don't understand, she 5, but my son walked this whole journey with me. Yeah. Like, that
big
is
shout out to
baby.
Son, who is going to be coming on the show, because I just found out he's an up and coming hip hop artist.
Yes.
Who doesn't use profanity.
Yep.
So we need him in the community, because this music today is crazy.
Talent. Let him exercise that talent.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we need opportunities. Opportunities matter. Opportunities definitely matter.
Man, you know my story.
Right.
I just interviewed our senator. Mm-hmm. And he was telling his story.
I'm so mad after you conflicted the time. I was like,
no, it was his schedule had got conflicted.
Oh,
so
okay.
he was supposed to come on for tonight's show.
Okay.
But he had to go to another major event.
Yeah, because they always. You gotta set that back up.
Yes,
like,
I will.
Yeah.
I will. I'll set it back up. And it was like I was telling him after the show. I was like, he was so amazed at me. I was like, no, like, dude, like, I'm amazed. Yeah. I'm amazed that I just interviewed this senator. Mm-hmm. Like, if you would have known Jay Bear, you'd have been like, I'm not even coming around that guy without security.
But that's what God does. He changes our name.
Yeah.
He gives us new positions.
And now I love Joshua. I love being Josh.
I love Tanisha.
Yeah.
Yo, I used to go for Kyanna. Even my other page, I'm just always like, Kyanna. Oh, shout out to Rug too. That's my
Shout out to Rug.
Yeah, that's my son's father. My son Keon.
Oh,
yeah.
Shout out to Rug.
And you
Rug,
know what?
dude.
He was a big supporter around the time that I lost my son. We was together.
Rug, look at us now, baby.
Yeah. We was
look
definitely
at us now.
And he was there.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. So. That's major. That's major to even. So for the parents out there, co-parenting is dope.
Yeah, it's important.
Being able to reach back and say, yo, that's my son's father, but that's also one of my support people.
Yeah.
That's major.
Yeah.
That's dope.
I mean, that's what you do, man. You gotta take the good. Listen, everything I've been through showed me that I can't pass judgment on nobody. Woo. I even forgave the guy that killed my son. You know what I'm saying? I almost killed my son. I was in the car that night drinking, hit the guardrail. I wanted my son to forgive me. But it was like that happened for me to forgive. And I'm telling you, when I got out of recovery, I don't know, it was just like things started happening. I started working on myself, and I was like, I wanna tell this man I forgive him. Like and I just put it in my prayer. Like, I don't walk around with no animosity towards that guy that killed my son.
That's dope.
I don't.
That's dope. Cause
you know what? It wasn't doing nothing to him. It was hurting me. Like, it kept me stagnated. It kept me in hurt. It kept me in anger. It kept me. No, I didn't want to hold on to that. I didn't want to hold on to that.
That's dope. And it's important to, because not everybody's there, and that takes a different level of peace, a different level of being anointed, to when you reach that level where you like, you know what, I forgive you.
Yeah.
And I mean it.
I do.
And I genuinely mean it.
I do.
I just put up a post a couple weeks ago, and I meant this, right? And the post said, if you think we beefing, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I see that.
Because I'm not the same person I used to be. Like, I'm not Jay Bear. So if you was beefing with Jay Bear, or you had some issues with that young boy, he was a kid. He went to prison when he was 17.
Now let me share this with you, Josh. So I had to understand that because God did a new thing for me, that the people that I was going back and associating myself with, they wasn't doing the work that I was doing like I was doing.
Absolutely.
So when I came into contact with these people and I'm like, why they not happy for me? Why they not this? Why he can't love me? Why he can't? It was because they wasn't where God, it was like unequally yoked.
Yep.
It wasn't the same.
I had to learn that the purpose and anointing that God placed on me, he didn't place on everybody else.
Didn't.
It's unique.
Yes, yes.
And just because he changed me doesn't mean everything around me will change.
No.
In fact, it wasn't supposed to, because partly it was my job.
Right.
This is why I'm anointed, because he put you in, he show you, all right, now this is the mess. This is what I brought you through,
Yes.
so you can help clean up this
Let's
mess.
make it a message.
Right? And it's like, really, look at us now. And I'm putting a piece together now called, I didn't really name it yet, but it just starts off like, yo, I woke up in all of myself.
Wow.
Because when you able to really embrace what God is doing for you, and it's one thing to know you blessed, but when God puts you at a level where you not only know you blessed, but you get to feel it, you get to taste it, you get to see it, you get to walk with it. That's a whole different type
different.
of yeah.
I don't think people understand it.
It's a different type. It's that piece.
You know what? I used to look for validation, right? Because I always wanted to be approved for what I've done. I wanted you to see me. I'm not doing this anymore. And once I stopped seeking validation from other people, I don't know, I began to get confident within myself. Not cocky, because I'm never cocky. I'm a very humble person, and I'm gonna remain that way, no matter what position I got or the heights I reach in my journey, you know, because I know what it's like to be at the bottom. I was there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a very, very humble, loving, giving person.
Two things I want to share with you before the time gets short. I want to share with you something that an old head had shared with me back in the day. He said, Josh, you in your valley. He said, enjoy being in the valley. He said, nothing grows at the peak. He said, all the beautiful flowers and all that stuff, it happens right there in the valley. That's where the growth is. And I'll share this with you because I heard this like last month, and it changed. It changed a lot of stuff for me. Dude was on TikTok, and he said, it wasn't raining when Noah built that ark.
Right.
And everybody thought he was crazy. Nor did he know how to speak animal, but God still brought him in 2 by 2.
Yep.
So, and it translated for me that as long as I keep concentrating on the purpose that God put in front of me, and I keep building my art, all those people that thought I was crazy,
you're going to see it.
You're going to see, because once God brings everything that's supposed to be there, that door got closed.
But watch this, though. They see it now. You just don't see it.
Yeah.
They see it. People can see the blessing that's over you. People can see the heights that you're going. People can see, like, you're anointed.
Thank you.
You know, like, and
I want to, you crazy, don't get me like this. I want to take this time, one thing we big on, you know, you watch the show, is giving out flowers.
Yeah.
I want to give you your flowers. You are incredible. You are amazing. You are anointed. God is going to bless you. You are not done.
Yeah.
We are not done. We'll be talking again on a show with an audience bigger than this, and then another audience bigger than that. Yeah. And the job is not over. God is that same anointing that you see over me. Yours is filling this room.
My daddy always said.
Yours is filling the room. You are amazing. I want you to keep going. Know that you forever have a friend with me, with D. We are here. I love you, and I genuinely mean that, and I can't wait to see where God is going to put you at next, because I know it's just going to be great, and I'm just blessed to be able to know you. I'm blessed that we are all in that same anointed classroom.
Yeah, yeah.
And sky's the limit. Sky is the limit. For all of you out there listening, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. This is what WWJD is about, what would Josh do. This is what it's about. It's about bringing this type of content, bringing this realness, this rawness, this information that is vital for us to continue the journey that God has us on, because it gets hard. Life is hard. It will show up. But I always say that if you show up right with it, you got a fighting chance. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to help you show up with it. So thank you for tuning in. We love y'all. Till next week. Peace.